So all these different religions or spiritual traditions have their path. All lead the same place. You like here? You are in a state of love and acceptance. You could say non-suffering. What is so much of these spiritual traditions, religious traditions are about getting out of suffering. And somewhere along the line, a man or woman did it, and they started sharing what they did. Right? And other people got free of their suffering, like, wow, this is beautiful, let me share what I did. And other people got free, let me share what I did. And other people did it but didn't get free. They said, let me share what I did. And other people did it and they didn't get free, but they really believed that it would work. Or they got better, less suffering, but not totally free. And so the story changed on what you should do over time. So, but a lot of them involve nature. Muhammad went out into nature. You go in a cave? Yeah, spent a lot of time with the caves and nature and self. Moses went into the desert. Nature. Christ went into the desert. Nature. The Buddha sat under a tree. Again, nature. They had to deal with their own stories, their own mind, their own belief systems when they're by themselves, because nature doesn't give you any of that. So if you got any stories, they're yours. There's not a problem with the world. In a world like this, or the desert, it simply is what it is. And any complaints you have, judgments you have, disappointments you have, that's your creation. It's so obviously, okay, this is my creation, it's my story, I'm making this up. Is it helping me? No. The beauty of it is that you get to experience what that love and that beauty, love that comes from beauty in nature, and the storyless presence. Just beingness. The downside of that is you get to notice all the chatter when it's there. You now have like, oh, that's what that's like without a story. That quiet, emotional connection with what is. Feels beautiful. But now you have something to compare all that chatter to. And of course, the story in your head is like, oh, why can't I be there? I felt it, but I lost it. That was so great, but now I'm back in my story, or that. The mind uses that blissful experience, or that just peaceful experience, to create more suffering. Right? The thing that was to get you out of suffering, the mind goes, well, let me use that against you. That thing you really enjoyed that got you free, let me use that against you. Why? Because that's just what it does. Okay. So notice how the ego voices use that same experience of, oh, this is what I want, to, oh, I'm not there now. Reaction. This is another story. One to let go of. Going back to all those paths, all those traditions, they can all work. If you have in the Hindu tradition, you have a guru, it's about having all that love and respect for one person. And letting go all your judgments, which is really just self-importance and ego. Right? If you have all that love and respect for one person, you know what you're doing? You're practicing love and respect. Until that becomes the dominant expression. And the ego voices that would interfere, you dissolve. Right? And if you can do it with one person, you can do it with another person a lot easier, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to practice that love and respect with everybody after a while. And gratitude. And you know what? And all that self-importance, the ego is no longer playing. It's a devotional path, and it can work. It can also be corrupted into something else. Just like a blissful experience can be corrupted with a story of, oh, I'm not there again. It can be corrupted into something else. Okay? Forgiveness from the Christian tradition is a beautiful letting go of all your stories. Okay? And then it gets later corrupted into, you know what, you should forgive. Like something you're supposed to do. Okay? Oh, but along with that is like, I'm still holding this grudge, there's still resentment. I need to let this go. I haven't forgiven them this yet. Now I'm judging myself because I haven't let it go. I haven't forgiven myself, or I haven't forgiven them. It's like, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, that forgiveness thing. It's like, And we judge ourselves for not having done the forgiveness. It's a great way to so we have more stories about how we should have let go of our stories. And so the ego corrupts those paths. Meditation path. Okay, you sit, be present on your breath. You just let everything go, be present, be present, be present. Oh, but I didn't meditate today and I'm inconsistent. I didn't do it enough. I want to be as good as them, but I'm not as good as them. I'll never get there. Our stories are corrupting the path. Okay? It'll work. Meditation will work. Devotional path will work. Forgiveness will work. They're all workable things. And they'll help you let go of your stories and be present. Okay? But any path can be corrupted. Your experience in nature, somewhere around tomorrow or the next day or next week, you might have an experience of judging yourself because you're not in that blissful state. Or, I went back to that same spot where I had that beautiful experience and I didn't feel the same thing. I must be going backwards. I'm like really losing it, and I'm not. The ego's telling stories to corrupt the moment. They're all good, viable paths, and they can all be corrupted. Okay? So then you have to be aware, am I corrupting this with another story? I need to let that go. With whatever tool you use, from whatever tradition you use. My engineering background, I'm practical. Use what works. And what works for you may not work for him, and what works for him may not work for you. And the thing that worked for you last week may not be the thing that works for this new issue this week. Okay? Sometimes it's trial and error, like, I was so good using this tool, but it's not working over here. Well, then use a different tool. It's a different deal. A different kind of story with a different structure, maybe a different intensity, different level of attachment. Okay. Even any tool and technique and practice can be corrupted. But its intent is always out of suffering, which you could say is out of unhappiness, to love, to happiness, to joy, to that freedom to express and feel beautiful emotions. It's simple. a friend of mine says, it's so simple. This work is clearly not that deep. It's not that complicated. All the stories and the belief layers can be really complex and layered. But the doing of being present, perceiving and expressing love and presence, pretty simple. Pretty simple. So, yeah. Sometimes it's time to put away the overthinking and just practice. Just practice. Really simple.